Hello everyone, myself Siv Krishna. Today I am going to explain RE framework in UiPath, how it works, and I am going to explain how we can implement both the dispatcher and performer in RE framework. Let's get started. Let me give you an overview about the RE framework. RE framework is a project template and it was built on the basis of state machine. It has inbuilt logging, exception handling, retry mechanism, set transaction. The only thing we need to focus on is build our business logic. In RE framework, basically we can have four states: initialization, get transaction data, process transaction, end process. Let me open RE framework project in UiPath Studio. In the initialization, basically we are reading the configuration file, killing the processes, and initiating the applications. In case of any exception in the initialization, bot would go to the end process. If no system exception, bot would go to the get transaction data. In get transaction data, bot would connect to the UiPath Orchestrator queue and it will fetch the new transaction. If any new transaction is available, it will go to the process transaction, and as per our business logic, the transaction will process. In process transaction, we may get three type of responses: success, business exception, system exception. For both success and business exception, bot would update the transaction status and it will go to the get transaction data to process the next transaction. For the system exception, bot would take the screenshot of the exception and apply the retry mechanism and close all the applications, kill the process, and it will move to the initialization. In the get transaction data, if you do not found any new transaction, bot would move to the end process. Implementing dispatcher and performer in RE framework using queues, lists, data table, and dictionary. In this video, we are going to see how we can implement dispatcher and performer by using the queues. In the next sessions, I am going to explain the how we can implement using list, data table, and dictionary. Let's have a scenario. We have a list of account numbers in the text file and we need to process them one by one. So let me go to the UiPath Studio and open this is the sample file I have created. So we have three account numbers in the file. In the dispatcher, we should read them and we should add to the UiPath Orchestrator queue. Right? For that, let me take one flowchart and create the dispatcher logic. Right? So in the dispatcher, I am mentioning one input argument. File path. Right. I am going to mention one log message and mentioning the message as dispatcher start. Then we should read the text file, right? For that I am taking one assign activity and I am creating one array of string variable. Number, right? In the set value, I am going to mention file reading logic. For that I am using the expression file.read all lines. Then we should mention the file path to array. Let me change the variable type from string to array of string. Right. Now we have a list of account numbers in the variable. So we need to iterate the account numbers and we should add to the UiPath Orchestrator queue. For that I am taking one for each activity. I mention the variable that I have created, and then I am going to take one add queue item activity. So in the queue name, I am going to mention my queue name is a text underscore queue, and the item collection I am going to mention key value as account number, and the value would be current text. After adding the details to the queue, I am going to mention one more log message. So in this message I am going to mention what details we have added to the queue, right? Yes. At the end of the process, again I am mentioning one log message, and I am going to mention that dispatcher process completed. Completed. Yes. This dispatcher log logic has been completed. Let's move to the main, and then so here we should identify the right place to use the dispatcher workflow, right? If you go inside the initialization and if you see this first config is nothing. This block of the code can be executed only one time for the bot run, right? This would be the right place to use the dispatcher logic. For that I am going to take this dispatcher workflow, and here in the input arguments I am going to mention the file path. The file path location would be data folder, and the file name would be text.txt. Let me show you the queue name that I have created. This is my queue name, text underscore queue. And if I am going to view transaction, so initially there were no transactions. So how the flow will be happen? So when you start the bot, it will go to the initialization and read the configuration. Then it will add the details from the text file to UiPath Orchestrator queue. In the get transaction data, it will refer the same queue, and then it will fetch all the new transactions are available and it will process, right? In the process transaction, I am going to log whatever the details that we are going to process. For that I am taking one log message, and I am going to mention the account numbers. Yes. So let me run the process and see the output. Let me go to the output panel. If you see here, dispatcher process start, and these are the queue items that we are added to the UiPath Orchestrator queue, and then we are processing them one by one. 1, 2, and 3. Alright, and let me go to the UiPath Orchestrator queue and just refresh. So these are the queue items that we are processing, right? So let me rerun the process and see the output again. Yes, this is executed, right? So if you see here, the same account numbers are adding multiple times, right? So in case if you want to process same account numbers multiple times in a day, this scenario would work. But in case if you do not want to process the same account number for multiple times, so this scenario won't be work. Further, we need to add some checkpoints. For that, let me modify the dispatcher model in little bit. For that, first we need to add the reference for the queue item. If you see the properties, I am going to mention the reference number. Reference name would be now dot toString, and the format would be year, month, and date, and then I'm going to mention the account number. Right, this is my reference number. And before adding any queue items to the UiPath Orchestrator queue, first we need to check the with that reference number is there any queue number already exists, right? For that I am going to take get queue items activity. We need to mention the queue name, test queue, and then we need to create one variable for this. You can say failed, success, and new transactions, and we need to create one output variable, right? For that, items. When you try to add any new account numbers to the queue, we should maintain one condition. For that I am going to take one if condition. So in the if condition I am going to mention an expression. For that I am queue items dot any dot reference equal to this one, right? So if it is true means the with the account number we have already one queue in the UiPath Orchestrator queue, right? If it is true, then we can mention one log message. Already processed. Else we can add the adding icon numbers to the queue logic. Right, yeah, the changes has been completed, and let's start the process again. If you see, if you go back to the UiPath Orchestrator and if you refresh, so you can find the reference number, right? So this would be my reference number. If I am trying to rerun the process again, what would happen? If you open the output panel, see here, the account number is already processed and there were no transactions were processed. Let me add one new account number in the file. Right, save, close and rerun the process and see the output. If you open the output panel, so out of 4, 3 were skipped and 1 was added, and in the transaction, whatever the new transaction was processed, right? So if you open the UiPath Orchestrator, initially there were 3 queue items are available. If you refresh, the new account got added. So this way we can implement both the dispatcher and performer in the RE framework. So in the next video I am going to explain how we can implement both the dispatcher and performer using the list, dictionary and data table without using the UiPath Orchestrator queue. Hope this video is informative and thanks for watching this video. Have a nice day.